Hey YouTube, what is up? This sexy limited black edition Legacy Megazord was announced and released all on the same day, so I decided to pick it up and do a review of it, as well as a comparison between this Megazord, the other Legacy Dino Megazord that's not black and gold, and the 2010 remake, which is technically before the Legacy versions of these Zords were announced, and compare all three of them and show the main differences between the three, because they are very similar, but there are some key differences between them, and I figured it'd make it a pretty interesting video, so let's get started. First things first though, I did want to show the differences in the box, and if you don't want to see these differences, skip to about 1 minute and 53 seconds. That's where the box talk ends. But anyway, you could see the differences, and me being a jerk in the background waving my hands around, between the limited edition Black Legacy version and the Legacy version of the Megazords. The differences being everything is either gold or monochromatic. So golden text still stays golden, the lightning bolt is all gold instead of having an orange hue to it. Everything else is changed to be monochromatic. Monochromatic means black and white if you don't know that. The Power Rangers are now monochromatic on the left as opposed to being in color on the right. The text is now white and then various shades of gray, it seems, as opposed to being just gold. On the back, however, they did decide to keep the color. You could see the little bit of red in the Megazord's eyes. You could also see the green in the Dragon Zord and the color in Titanus, because there's a lot of color in Titanus, and it just shows you that you can make a black and gold version of the Ultra Zord, which does look really cool, and maybe I'll do that in a different video, but I'll save that for later. The back on the Megazord box is just all in color. There's really no differences between the two, just the color. I decided I'd show it though, because how often do you get to see alternate versions of the same box? I do want to point out, however, that this is the remake of the Legacy Megazord box. That is, the text in the front is golden as opposed to being just flat gold. It is reflective. It is, I guess, holographic in some sense. That's the only difference. The Legacy Megazord is still the same. The box is just a little shinier. Just so you guys know, the one on the left is the Legacy Dinozord, the one in the middle obviously is the black and gold Legacy version, and then the one on the right is the 2010 Dinozord that is not Legacy and does not have metal in it, and once I've held the Legacy versions, it does actually feel pretty cheaply made. The main differences I've noticed so far just on details in the front is that the black and gold version literally just takes the Legacy version and changes it all black and gold, while the Legacy version compared to the 2010 version has a lot more details, really apparent, especially in the face and all the stickers. The stickers are all holographic on the left, whilst the Dinozord on the right has like flat matte colored stickers with a little shading to try and add depth to it, but the holographic stickers on the Dinozord on the left really do help it a lot more. The lack of detail in the 2010 Zord is also apparent in the saber-toothed tiger's head. You see it does not have, I guess, whiskers on the side of its head. Its eyes are a little darker. It doesn't have the accentuation and the coloring on the wheels. It doesn't have details that are really, really minute, but add a lot of depth to the Megazord, I feel. The Megazord on the left is really a lot nicer, and the one on the right is a little iffy. What I really do like, however, about the limited edition black version is that anytime there's black detailing on the Megazords, it actually will accentuate it by highlighting it with a gold line. So instead of the black disappearing on the middle Megazord, it actually stands out because it has gold accentuation around the perimeter of whatever was black on the original Megazords. I'll show you an example of this later, but I thought it was just a really cool little detail they added, and I think it really makes a lot of the smaller, darker parts of the Megazord stand out. And to actually point out to what I was just saying, if you look in the middle of the Triceratops's body, you can see there's a golden square where it is black on the Megazord on the left and not even there on the Megazord on the right, because the one on the right is the cheapest version and it lacks a lot of detail. But that's an example of the golden trim they added to any black areas to make them stand out, and I really, really do like that. The stickers on the left version and the black and gold version are all holographic, while the one on the right has matte stickers. I mentioned this before, but it looks like there aren't any stickers on the Triceratops in the black and gold version, but they are. It's just not reflecting a lot of light because of the way I had the camera angled. And now to go into detail to show the actual differences that are harder to see but still readily apparent. If you look on the left, the Legacy version of the Mastodon, woolly mammoth, whatever you want to call it, its head is gray. I don't know why they did that. The 2010 version of it is black, and in the middle, obviously, it's black. Their eyes on the Legacy versions are actually painted on, whilst the 2010 version's eyes are stickers. I do actually like the 2010 versions of the Mastodon's head compared to the Legacy version, because I just don't like the grayscale. Here's a quick close-up of the swords, the one in the middle being the black and gold version, the one in the back, which is really dull, flat, and actually very flimsy, is the 2010 remake, and the one in the front is the Legacy Megazord that is not the black and gold edition version sword. It is nice, and the two in the front are actually very solid, whilst the 2010 version of the sword is very flimsy, and it seems like it was more of a prototype for the later Legacy versions of the same Zord. For some of the differences that I noticed in the Pterodactyl Zord, what I noticed most is that the left version is actually the most detailed. I don't know how the black and gold version is more detailed, but the stickers look a lot better than the regular Legacy in the middle and the 2010 remake on the far right. The Legacy version that's black and gold, I like the chest a lot more. It's just a lot more, I guess, three-dimensional looking. I don't know. The only other difference that I noticed between the pterodactyls, as opposed to, you know, just sticker quality in general, is that the pterodactyl's head is pink on the Legacy version, but red on the 2010 version, which is on the right. I don't know why they chose to do that. The backs, there really is no difference. They're just flat molded pieces of plastic. As for differences I noticed with the Triceratops, as you notice on the nose of the Triceratops on the black and gold version, it has the gold trim to accentuate the white nose, as there is no white on the black and gold version, so they had to make it the nose stand out somehow. There's also what appears to be, I guess, like an eyeliner that's on the black and gold version, as well as the original Legacy version, but the 2010 remake that came out before all of them doesn't even have the eye line. It does have the indents for it, but it just seems like they slacked on the paint job and decided not to add it. Some of the details I noticed on the Triceratops Zord is that the black and gold version by far has the most appealing stickers in my, I guess, opinion. The stickers are gold and reflective. They look really nice. The Legacy version that's in the middle has some flat white stickers that really don't stand out that much, even though the 2010 version underneath it has more detail in the stickers. I don't know why they slacked on the stickers in this instance. Also, the only other difference I really noticed is the tails, as well as the fact that the tracks are gray only on the Legacy Dinozord and not the 2010 remake or the black and gold edition. As for the tops, the only difference between the Legacy version and the 2010 remake is the sticker is holographic, whilst the black and gold one simply has a nice black and gold clean looking design that doesn't have any colors or faint circles to it. It's all square and angular. And had I mentioned before that the Legacy versions have better joints, you can actually see how. If you look, the metal is surrounded by what appears to be a plastic with ridges. That actually adds to the accentuation and allows you to stick it in different positions, whilst the one on the 2010 remake, which is all the way on the right, you simply just flap it around. It doesn't lock at all. As for the differences I noticed in the Saber-Tooth Tiger Zord, it's readily apparent how shitty the one on the right, which is the 2010 version, looks. The plastic also seems to be a different color than the Legacy version of the Dinozord. I don't know why it's a lot yellower in the 2010 version. The eyes have detail, the mouth has detail, whilst in the 2010 version, neither of those have that. The nose has a lot of gold trim around it, I guess. I don't know, it seems very thick, but it does accentuate the nose in some sense, I guess. I don't know. It seems like the gold trim's a little thick there, but I really do like the black and gold version overall compared to the two others. The differences on the side of the Saber-Tooth Tiger that I noticed were the lack of shoulder detail. In the middle, it's red, which is the Legacy version. On the bottom, it's gold. That's the black and gold version, obviously. The top one, the 2010, doesn't have any of that detail. There's no whiskers painted either, and there's no side mouth detail. The gold ring on the tires on the black and gold version are also very nice, and the actual fact that there's tires painted on the back legs of the Legacy version in the middle is nice too. The 2010 remake doesn't have those for some reason. It just has one painted black. I don't know the thought process for that. The differences that I noticed on the top of the Saber-Tooth Tiger Zord, besides the fact that I put the stickers backwards on the 2010 version of the Saber-Tooth Tiger Zord, is that the holographic versions of the stickers on the Legacy versions look nicer. The black and gold version of the sticker is a little more minimalist looking, the lines are thicker and it's a little more angular, and the fact that the gold accenting around where it would normally be a black spot on the Zord is nice, as is apparent, I guess, on the Tiger Zord's hips? I guess, I don't know, the top of the hips, I guess that's the area it would be. And here's just another example again of the better joints that I mentioned before. I showed you them on the Triceratops Zord. It's also apparent on the Tiger Zord as well, and you could just see it for yourself, really. Now here's what the Mammoth Zords, I guess Mastodon, whatever you want to call it, Zords look like when you put it together. Once again, I'm kind of a fan of the black and gold version. I don't like the silver head on the Legacy version, and the one that's all the way on the right being the 2010 version, just, I don't like it really. The lack of detail is a little, I guess, iffy. The Legacy versions just look so much better in my opinion. The differences that I noticed in the Mastodon Zord was that the M is more apparent on the black and gold version. In the middle, it's there, but the holographic version of the sticker makes it less apparent. The 2010 version of it does actually have a nice shoulder sticker for the M. There is a white and gold band that is on the Mastodon's leg that is in the Legacy version, but not in the 2010 version on the right, and the black and gold version just happens to use gold trim to accentuate stickers that would otherwise be red colored bands. And now for the most detailed part of this Megazord, which is a Tyrannosaurus. The version on the right is the original 2010 version, and its stickers in the mouth are not that apparent and not holographic, as well as its legs. They are not metal, and there is no red detailing on the shins and top of its feet. The gold version does have gold detailing on the top of its feet. Its shins are black, but it does instead have black and gold thighs instead of silver and black thighs. that the Legacy version does in the middle. The stickers are actually pretty comparable, but the belt on the, I guess, 2010 version is not there at all for some reason. There are actually a lot of differences on the side of the sword. The head is less detailed. There's no gray coloring for the jaw on the 2010 version. The 2010 version doesn't have any coloring on the side of the tail as well. It's all one color red, as opposed to being black and gray like it is in the Legacy version in the middle, and the black and gold version, which is on the left. There is also no belt on the version on the right. There is a belt in the middle version, but the black and gold version has a nice black and gold band instead of a just solid gold band, which I think does look really nice. And here's just a look at the other side. For continuity's sake, there really is no differences to point out that haven't already been said. The differences for the back of the Zord is that the 2010 version doesn't have a belt, it does not have a colored exhaust port, and the tops of its thighs are not red, instead gray. The middle version does have a red belt and red upper thighs and a gray exhaust port. The gold version has a golden exhaust port. The tops of these Megazords are a little different as well. There is a black trim on the Legacy version and a gold trim on the Legacy Gold version, and there is a golden entire horn on the original 2010 version, but on the Legacy version, the horn is red with gold painting underneath. If you didn't understand what I meant by gold painting underneath, if you look at the middle horn, it's yellow and then red on top for the Legacy version, but on the original 2010 version, it's all gold. It is a deeper gold, albeit, and it does look nice. There's also a lack of white accenting on the face of the original 2010 version, whilst the Legacy and black and gold Legacy versions do have nice, thick accenting lines for the detail in the face. And if you made it this far into the video, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you want more videos like this, descriptive Power Ranger reviews, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and click subscribe because it's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.